Like, what are your takeaways? What do you?
Disappointed because I don't think we were up for it. I think we lacked desire in that game. Obviously, we started off really poor and, never really recovered from, the first 10 minutes of the game. And then you go up a man, and it didn't look like we had the right intensity or hunger to get back in the game. So, that was a disappointing effort, and I think everybody recognizes that. So, we had conversations that we typically don't have about our performance, and hopefully everyone got the message.
Do you see any response from that in training this week? Or?
So far,
Yeah.
we still got a couple more days.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, well, I was just going to ask, because I asked Dom, and he was kind of surprised by when I mentioned, like, it's been 4 of the last 6 games that you guys have fallen behind pretty early. Is there anything you've seen in these, because that even goes back to the League's Cup, but even, is there anything you're seeing that has you concerned about why the team maybe is getting off to those slow starts?
Yeah, we're not performing well. We're not defending well in isolated moments, and we're getting punished for that. So individual performance, team performance is not great in the moment, and as a result, we're playing catch up in games.
What do you think about the Shield at this point? Is that too far gone?
That's not something we're talking about.
Yeah.
If we, I said it after one of the games, if we perform like this, why are we even addressing that? We have to think about improving our performances to even have a chance at, that being a talking point, and that's the short-term focus, is to improve. Of course, you want to win in the process, but right now, that can't be a thought if we're playing like this, and I think everybody knows that.
And after having some of those conversations that you don't typically have, do you have a feel for how and why a performance like that could occur, like at this stage of the season?
Yeah.
Given the circumstances of what that game was.
We're struggling to communicate in the right ways on the field and help each other out. I know I'm at fault at times for maybe putting too many guys out of position at moments to try to maybe get our best performers, or maybe what we think is our best 11 to help us go win a game. That takes you out of rhythm at times, and players being consistent in one spot. So that's factored into it. It's a combination of things, but on top of the individual performances and poor communication, I think some very preventable mistakes that are kind of putting us behind, and maybe the lack of confidence to pull ourselves out of those tough moments with where we're currently at. But even after the hard conversations that we had post game, and I would say yesterday, the training the training response was good. I thought that was one of our better training sessions yesterday. So the goal is to put 2 more strong trainings together in preparation for Montreal.
Pat, with Lucho unavailable this weekend, can this kind of maybe, I don't know, be seen as a blessing in disguise to help him get a little healthier long term?
Not having Lucho on the field is typically not a blessing in disguise. We want him back on the field, and the suspension doesn't help, with him and DeAndre. But our approach will be without them, and hopefully, like I said, guys on an individual level are just ready to perform better, and then the collective will benefit from that. And it's my job to put them in a position. So hopefully we can all do our jobs this week.
This weekend, what have you seen of Montreal? What are you expecting from them?
Their structure, the way they play hasn't changed. Obviously, they're coming off of a poor result at home against New England. So, prior to that was Philly and believe San Luis, and so 1-1 in those results. Orlando, I think, prior to that was the last one. So how the game's played, I think there's a lot of similarities to what we'll have seen when we played at their place, and they got the better of us. But we can, and maybe we have talked too much about what we're expecting from the opponent. A lot of what we need to do focuses on how we play and how we compete and our mentality. And I know that sounds pretty simple, but there's a lot of fundamental things that we need to do right to then even get to the point where we're talking about the tactics and the approach in our opponent.
Sorry.
First on. Yeah.
Just going back to Lucho, just with him having been out of the starting lineup for so long, do you think that has impacted the mentality of the team? Because we all know what he does bring on the field. Do you feel like maybe that's, impacting how players are approaching?
Not how they're approaching it, but I think, they're accustomed to probably relying on him to be playmaker and help us score goals. And when he's not on the field, we need to figure out how to be better in creating chances. And I think you saw it in the New York City game. We can score, we can win, but we got to do it more consistently. And when you lose a piece of like Lucho, yes, that's going to affect the group. That's natural. So, but we got to have confidence that we can win without him. And I think the guys have that. We have to go and do it.
Just because of where we are in the season, there's not a ton of it left. Did you guys give any thought to appealing either of the yellow cards to Lucho and DeAndre? DeAndre's especially, because that was like off the ball.
Yeah, we did. We had conversations with Pro and how we move forward with it, and that was a good conversation. One of the things they're trying to crack down on is players running from a distance to the official. So if that was done more consistently, we'd probably accept in a better way DeAndre getting the yellow, the captain getting the yellow. But we shouldn't do it. It's as simple as that. If they were calling this all year, you would say, okay, this makes sense. We shouldn't have put ourselves in this position. But even in the game alone, you saw people running up to the official in a way where you could give out a lot of yellows. So that part's confusing, but that was part of the initiatives when we meet in preseason. So we get punished for it in that moment, whether we agree with it or not. With Lucho's, it's a bit fluky because you could tell it's the two players getting tangled. I always try to flip it and say, if that was Lucho getting, somebody falling on him, do you want a yellow card? And so that one I could see going either way, but I don't think we were going to win either.
Coach, it's a bit of an odd situation in that he's not here yet, but the club announced the signed teenage Hadebe. Hadebe. What have you seen of him? What do you know, and how do you expect him to factor into the club moving forward?
We were able to, dig a little bit more because of our relationships with some of the guys over at Houston with his time there, and look at some of those performances. As far as the character check, that's all positive signs, which is certainly an important part of this. And then as a player, with and without the ball, we thought there were things that could help us, in this moment to, when he comes and joins the group after the international window, gauge where he's at, much like Nico joining us, and see how we can push him along in the right way, but with the goal in mind that, he can help our back line and where we're at it, with our center backs at the moment. So the league experience was helpful in being able to vet a little bit, and then, with the ball, he's I think confident in, wanting to play. Defensively, I think in being able to defend in space and have a level of, you know, assertiveness and aggression that we are looking for. I think he checks those boxes. So, you know, those are a few of the, you know, the signs, the positive signs early on.
Go ahead.
You can go on.
Yeah, Hadebe was a DP, right? So, like, every team makes a determination, like an evaluation in terms of whether or not they think a player rises to that caliber or not. But one way or another, I think it's safe to say he's, like, highly thought of,
Right.
Hadebe. And I guess my question is, how long had you guys been pursuing him? Because it's you know, it seems like a boon for FC Cincinnati that a player like that is available.
This one wasn't, you know, as a long of a process. You know, much like Nico, sometimes you're able to make additions in a short amount of time because opportunities present themselves, you know, towards the end of a window or for various reasons. But like I said, it helped to be able to pick up the phone and talk to some well-respected people at Houston to understand what we could expect. And then maybe that helps you make a decision in a short amount of time. But it wasn't, you know, somebody that we were recruiting like Cheeto, where we've, you know, this has been years. So a little bit different, but like you said, he was well-respected in Houston, and we're expecting a lot of the same with us, hopefully with performance and character both passing the test.
I was just going to ask about Yamil. We saw him outside the other day. Is he progressing? Where's he?
He'll likely be available post Montreal. So we obviously have the international break and some more time, but likely unavailable for Montreal.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on Hadebe. Like, the Turk, again, like, it's just crazy to me that he was sitting out there. And the Turkish league is not like some pushover league. Were you surprised that you're able to bring in a player?
A little bit.
If I'm
yeah.
overrating him, you know, tell me, but I don't think
I hope not.
Yeah.
Like I said, sometimes it just it comes to fruition in a way where it wasn't expected 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. But we're excited to add him to the group. I know he's excited to join us. It's a challenging, time because we have 8 games, 9 games, 8? I think 8 games. Okay. So he's going to join us, after an international window and with 8 games, 7 games remaining. And then it's how do you get him up to speed in such a short amount of time to help us make a strong, push at it to end the season. So that'll be the challenge for him and for us. But like I said, I think the league experience and understanding what to expect is helpful for a player like himself. So, we'll see how that goes.